And we went from the most secure border to historic, never seen before illegal alien encounters.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing all the lies and all the nonsense coming out of the left. The left and their precious little narratives. One of the more recent dishonest narratives that they've attempted to spin is the narrative surrounding the supposed bipartisan border security bill that they told us Donald Trump got his minions in Congress to stop because Donald Trump needs the issue of the border to get elected. That's what they told you, right? That's what they said. They stated it as fact, not to be questioned. But there was only a couple problems with the premise that they were attempting to set. Problem number one, it wasn't even a border bill. It was a fund the proxy war in Ukraine bill. And secondly, the bill itself was totally unnecessary. Joe Biden doesn't need new executive authority and new executive powers to, quote, shut down the border. Joe Biden just needs to do his job. In other words, Joe Biden needs to stop flying illegal migrants across the nation to their destination of choice. Maybe let's just start there. Before signing over new executive authority to the president, maybe let's do the bare minimum, like not funding the core of the crisis on the backs of hardworking taxpayers, maybe. Joe Biden's illegal immigration voter importing scheme, his little racket, once again gets exposed by two absolute base chads that I'm sure you guys are aware of. We've got Sheriff Grady Judd from Florida and former ICE Director Tom Homan, arguably two of the coolest guys to ever exist, and I'm not saying that just to say it, I mean it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I'm sure you guys have seen this guy before. You don't even really need to be involved in the realm of politics to know who this guy is. This is Sheriff Grady Judd. He's the most viral sheriff. You've probably seen his clips before. Well, here he is, revealing how the U.S. federal government is providing unlimited plane tickets to illegals for free to any destination in the United States, and supposedly also trafficking women directly into the sex trade. Take a look at this.
And what this is, and I want everybody to see it clearly, federal policy drives illegal immigrant crime and victimization. And that's the focus, other than our victims of human trafficking. Listen, folks, I want to introduce you to Andres Gill, okay? Here's this guy. He's also on this board, but get a look at him for a second. He came down here from New York with 3 females. All of them are in the country illegally. Did you hear what I said? They're all here illegally. He's the one that comes with them to drive them. These ladies are all controlled by a human trafficker. We think their human trafficker is a female. She sets up their appointments. She puts their ads online. She tells them where to go. And by the way, on Friday, the victims of human trafficking, and we've grayed them out, 3 of them that are here illegally from Venezuela, 3 of them have to pay her $3,000 a piece on Friday, or else they're threatened. So they're not free. They're really indentured, and they're quote unquote paying off their debt. Now, here's what they told us. All right. I'm sure the federal government will verify that this is not true, but you decide who you want to believe, whether you want to believe these victims of human trafficking or the whitewash the federal authorities give you. They said that when they came into the country illegally, DHS gave them a form, an ID, paperwork that allows them to fly for free. Southwest would let your bags fly free. Well, the federal government will let your illegal immigrants fly free. And they operate out of New York. And they were working up there, and the New York authorities said, hey, if you don't have identification, you can't work in our sex trade up here. We don't allow sex trade here at all, but New York will allow you to do some stuff if you've got the proper authority. So they say they make a lot of money. They're addicted to it. These ladies are going to give you more details. They tell us that they fly to major metro centers for free on the federal government where they set up their appointments for sex all around the country. Did you hear what I said? Listen, folks, if they don't pay $3,000 a piece on Friday, they're in trouble. The human trafficker sets up the deal. Hey, this deal is just outside of Tampa. They say they show this ID, this card, this paper, they fly for free down here. Then they fly back. But we heard a similar theme from all 21 of these folks.
I'm not kidding when I say that Joe Biden is the employee of probably.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. This is what his policies have led to with the open border.
You know, man, making those cartels billionaires, man. But secondly, wow.
Well, they got rid of Epstein Island. They got to figure out some way to get.
Yeah. You still got to satisfy the customers. That is really messed up because these women now, and I heard a recent news where they were saying a lot of children coming or gone missing, somewhere over 5,000 of them. No, it was like 50,000 to be exact. And I've also found out some of them are already into the circle of,
This world.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But not only that, they're being used for child labor as well and things like that.
Yeah, sweatshops and things like that.
Yeah, so there is a lot of things going on here. It's more than just politics to me. There seems to be my initial thought was like, what's the benefit of all these illegal migrants coming to the country? Like, how does the country benefit as a whole from that? What's the positive use of that? From a democratic perspective, there's a lot of use to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think
cheap labor
is one of them. They can't vote, but they can actually change the what is it called? They make it possible for more Democrats to hold seats in Congress as a result.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it as well. So cheap labor,
gerrymandering.
But doesn't that also give the Democrats power to use federal funds to support them in the long run? And that fund could be filtered for other purpose, be used for other purpose. I mean, there's a lot of things. It's good to ask yourself your question, like, why would you want to do that to a country though? Like, what are the reasons? If you can actually find the reasons behind it, we know if you're a Christian, right? The love of money is the root of all kind of evil. So there's always money behind a lot of corruption. So yeah, I would like to figure out some of these reasons.
And there's basically four major reasons. Money,
power,
I'm trying to figure out a nice way to say this without being too brash. Love.
Yeah.
Drugs and cheap labor. All four of those things combined allow you power over that populace.
Yeah. So the cheap labor thing, I heard that Tyson chicken in trouble.
And it also spreads fear among the populace when you let criminals in. And spreading that fear when people are scared, they turn around and tend to panic and vote for the establishment to be like looking to Big Brother to help fix the problem.
And more power is given to them that way as well. All right. Good point. I know he's going to go off. I'm ready to see what he does.
Which is not what our founding fathers intended. That's why we have the Second Amendment.
Exactly. So I am for mass deportation in that regard. Yeah. All right. Let's take a listen.
the decade, for Pete's sakes, the greatest employee in the history of the cartels. He is the cartel's favorite. That's why illegal immigrants show up at the border wearing Joe Biden t-shirts like this guy.
Es el presidente y la vicepresidenta de los Estados Unidos.
Pero entonces ya lo traigo aquí para que me dejen entrar.
Joe Biden is enabling all of this. Joe doesn't need new powers, as he suggested.
Give me the power.
Joe Biden needs to use the executive powers that are already on the books, and most importantly, he needs to get Congress as the leader of the Democrat Party. In other words, he needs to get Democrats on board to actually do something, to do their jobs, to secure the border, not expand the asylum process, not increase funding so they can continue housing and flying illegal migrants across the nation. No, they need to deport illegal migrants with no credible claim of asylum. Oh, but the kids, the women and the kids. Every frickin' time, every know-nothing brainwashed liberal that you interact with says the same thing. But what about the kids, asylum seekers, the poor people? Listen, are you paying attention? Listen to the words about to come out of my mouth. Joe Biden isn't helping poor people. He isn't helping poor women and children. He is driving a human smuggling racket. In other words, he's driving the most vulnerable of people, undocumented, unrepresented, in many cases uneducated women and children, directly into the market for human flesh. That is what he is doing. He is enabling a system that sends undocumented men into a life of almost indentured servitude, working illegally in a nation, and in many cases sending women and children directly into human trafficking cartels.
Wow.
And the reason they didn't bring HR 2 to a vote for the border is because there was more funding for Ukraine and other countries than there was for the border.
Yeah, it wouldn't really make a difference. And also, it would have allowed at least 5,000 migrants daily to cross the border.
Which
Still
would have turned out to, I believe, 2.5 million a year.
Mm-hmm. And Senator, no, not Senator, what's his name? Mayorkas, who is responsible for the border, who'll have that power to determine when to close things daily and so on. It would actually empower Democrats than anything. He would not have fixed anything.
Yeah. It wouldn't have done anything.
They don't need
it would have made things worse and gave more funding to Ukraine.
They don't need that. Joe Biden can actually literally take a pen right now and close the border. He could do it. That's
just
how
like Trump did.
That's how Trump did it, and that's how Joe Biden undid it. And if he wants to do it again, he actually has the power right now to do it. He has the power as a president to do it. He doesn't need Senate, none of that. He doesn't need power from anybody to do it. It's actually a fake outrage when they say that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sending people directly into indentured servitude where they don't have a passport, they don't have the ability to call the police, they don't have legal representation, people who are stuck, trapped, indebted to the cartels, and then, of course, made to work indefinitely in the most horrifying conditions, doing the most horrifying jobs that you could possibly imagine. But the outrage here is that Donald Trump suggested that Republicans shouldn't sign on to a bill that does absolutely nothing. Yeah, Donald Trump's the bad guy. What an absolute garbage narrative, especially when you consider the fact that Joe Biden doesn't need extra powers. And here's where Mr. Tom Homan comes in. Donald Trump's former ICE director, Tom Homan, testifies at a House Judiciary hearing on presidential power to secure the border after Joe Biden admits to secretly flying 320,000 illegals into the United States.
I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. But understand this, President Biden is the first president in the history of this nation who came in office and unsecured a border on purpose by signing over 90 executive orders, abolishing everything we did that were successful policies. Based on this memorandum by Secretary Mayorkas on ICE priorities, ICE wouldn't have dropped a detainer on him anyways, because he wasn't bad enough criminal for ICE to drop a detainer on him. Even though the law says there's no prerequisite to commit a crime after you commit the crime of illegal entry to be a target for enforcement. But Secretary Mayorkas has taken a lot of criminal aliens off the table for ICE. And how do I know that? By sheer numbers. 57% decrease in arrests of criminal aliens under this administration. 68% decrease in at-large arrest of criminal aliens. 44% decrease in detainer requests for criminal aliens. 67% decrease in deportations of criminal aliens. 55% decrease in immigration-related criminal convictions. This administration wanted to secure the border. They've had 3 years to take action. Why do they wait now? There must be an election coming up. Then they come up with some bill in Senate that they know will never pass the House, so they can say, well, now it's the Republicans' fault. I mean, we had the most secure border. It wasn't 100% secure. We had a little more work to do. We had more wall to finish, but it's the most secure border based on data, DHS's own data, than we've ever seen. And we went from the most secure border to historic, never seen before illegal alien encounters. That's just a fact. 3.2 million encounters last year. That is first year under President Biden, historic record. Second year, he broke his own historic record. Third year, he broke both those 2 years of historic records. We never see anything like this.
The president has the ability.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I love when people speak straight like that. I mean, that's how I like to hear my truth, man. All right.
Just shoot straight.
Yeah, no sugar coat, please. Give it to me straight. Wow. It's obvious. It's obvious what's going on here. That is crazy.
To secure the border. I mean, maybe not entirely. Of course, there's always going to be illegal crossings, but he can do something. Instead, he's chosen to do nothing, or I think it's more fair to say he's doing something, but doing the opposite of what is needed and what's required by the laws on the book. And really, the only proof that needs to be accompanied to that statement are the flight tickets themselves. Joe Biden admits to secretly flying 320,000 illegals into the United States. Texas is trying to secure the border because Joe Biden refuses to do his job. The response from the White House is, well, oh, actually, that's not true, and Texas is standing in the way of our immigration reforms, blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden's spending all of this time suing Texas, stopping them from securing the border, all the while just flying illegal migrants in. Complete insanity. Everything the Democrats tell you is a conspiracy theory and isn't happening is happening. It's always distract from the truth, push nonsense propaganda, lie, lie, lie. But once again, they've been completely exposed. The border crisis doesn't belong to the Republican Party. It doesn't belong to Donald Trump. It belongs solely to Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. And that's not me saying that for partisan sake. That's what the facts are saying. And that's also pretty much the video. I mean, what else needs to be said? They're flying illegal migrants into the country on your dime while telling you the border is secure, but they also need more power to secure the border. The biggest liars you could possibly imagine. That's the video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.
So my thought is, you are to really hate the United States of America to be doing that. Whether it's Senator Mayorkas, whether it's Joe Biden, or whether it's behind Joe Biden, you really have to hate this country. You have to be a communist. You have to be a fascist to think this is a good thing.
And then that's what it boils down to.
That is so good. That is so messed up.
Because they want to bring the United States in line with the world agenda. And they see that the people aren't following that agenda. So it's like the guy from BlackRock said, you have to force them to follow that agenda.
You have to force
if they want. You have to force the behavior change.
Wow.